In today's video, we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of the past. Welcome to a story written in the sands of history.
From Myra to Paksavond, the complete history of Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas is one of the most beloved winter traditions in the Netherlands, Belgium, and former Dutch territories. More than just a holiday, it is a complex tapestry of Christian sainthood, medieval folklore, colonial history, cultural transformations, and modern controversies. In this essay, I will trace its origin, evolution through the centuries, cultural variations, and its influence on the figure of Santa Claus, rounding off with some of the tensions and debates surrounding the tradition today. 1. Origins, Saint Nicholas of Myra. Historical figure, Sinterklaas is ultimately based on Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Greek, Christian, bishop of Myra, in what is now southwestern Turkey. He was known for many acts of charity, particularly toward children and the poor. East Day, his death, or name day, is traditionally commemorated on December 6. Over time this date became associated with giving gifts to children in his honor. 2. Early traditions in medieval Europe. Middle Ages, the cult of Saint Nicholas spread across Europe after his death. Many churches dedicated to him, his reputation for miracles and generosity grew. In Northern Europe, children's gift-giving and almsgiving on or around his feast day became more common. Shoes and alms. One of the early customs was that children or the poor would put out their shoes, or similar containers, to receive gifts or money. By the 15th century, in places like Utrecht, it is recorded that on December 5 in Saint Nicholas's church, people placed shoes out. Richer citizens sometimes would put coins in shoes for the poor. 3. The Reformation, conflicts, and survival. Religious changes. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the Protestant Reformation challenged many Catholic traditions. Some reformers sought to suppress or transform the feast of Saint Nicholas, considering its miraculous aspects and saint veneration to be inconsistent with Protestant theology. Secularization. Despite efforts, the Sinterklaas tradition proved resilient. Even in Protestant areas, the figure remained popular among children and common folk. Certain religious symbols remained, but many secular elements also grew: gift-giving, songs, poems, the idea of reward/punishment for behavior, etc. 4. 19th century redefinition, Jan Schenkman. Schenkman's Sint Nicholas en Zin Connect, 1850, a watershed moment. Jan Schenkman, a schoolteacher, published the book that introduced many of the features we now associate with the modern Dutch Sinterklaas. Arrival by steamboat from Spain. The horse that rides on rooftops. The idea of a helper who is, in later depictions, Zwart Piet, Black Pete. Poems, songs, and gift distribution via chimneys or rooftops. Why from Spain? Several factors may explain this: the trade in mandarins and oranges, fruits associated historically with Saint Nicholas, connections to the relics of Saint Nicholas, and literary imagination. 5. Key traditions and their meaning. Arrival ceremony. Intocht van Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas arrives in mid-November by steamboat, in many years, welcomed by crowds, typically broadcast on TV in the Netherlands and Belgium. Putting out the shoe, de schoon zetten, children leave shoes, often by the fireplace or door, with some treat, like hay or carrots, for Sinterklaas's horse. In return, they may find small gifts or sweets the next morning. Paksavond, present evening, on December 5, in the Netherlands, this is the main moment when larger presents are given. In Belgium the giving may occur on December 6. The helpers, Zwart Piet/Piet, historically depicted as a Moorish/black servant or helper. Over time the character has been controversial. The helper's role includes distributing sweets, helping with gifts, being part of festivities, sometimes playing the role of reminding children about good behavior. Food, song, poems. Traditional sweets like pepernitten, speculas, kruidnitten, etc., along with songs and poems, often humorous or even teasing, are central to the celebrations. 6. Influence on Santa Claus and global spread. Dutch colonization/migration. Dutch settlers in what is now New York, then New Amsterdam, observed Saint Nicholas traditions. Over time, as English became dominant, Saint Nicholas/Sinterklaas got transformed into Santa Claus in American culture. Commercialization and popular culture. Just as in many places, the figure became less strictly religious and more cultural, commercial. Children's books, songs, television, media all contributed to the shaping of his image and rituals. 7. Variations in the Netherlands, Belgium, and elsewhere. Belgium, in Flanders and Wallonia, Sinterklaas, or Saint Nicholas, is celebrated with many similarities: the feast, gifts, songs. Differences might include timing, morning of December 6th, particular foods, local customs. Former Dutch colonies. Some Dutch traditions carried over to Curaçao, Aruba, Suriname, Indonesia, etc. In Jakarta, for example, Dutch communities maintain some traditions, adapting as necessary, e.g. no chimneys, adjusting for climate. Modern adaptations. The name and portrayal of Piet have evolved, e.g. Rood Weekpiet, a soot-smeared Piet rather than full blackface, to respond to social concerns. 8. Controversies, criticism, and change. Blackface/racial imagery. The figure's Zwart Piet has long been controversial, seen by many as a vestige of racist or colonial imagery. Critics argue that the blackface depiction is offensive, stereotyped, and harmful. Supporters claim it is harmless tradition, or that the black comes from soot, etc. Social debate. There has been widespread debate in Dutch and Belgian society about how to modify Piet, whether to use soot versions, reduce overt racial references, or replace the character entirely. Some municipalities and schools have made changes. Cultural preservation versus change. Some see the controversies as threatening tradition, others argue that to keep the tradition vibrant, it must adapt to modern values of inclusion and sensitivity. 9. Symbolism, meaning, and cultural function. Moral education. The idea that children who have been good receive gifts, while naughty children may receive something less nice, has a moral dimension. It provides a way for society, via families, to teach behavioral norms. Community and identity. Sinterklaas is more than individual families. The arrival ceremonies, parades, public singing, and festivities are communal. They help build cultural identity, especially in parts of the Netherlands, Belgium, and among diaspora populations. Joy, imagination, ritual. The fantasy of a figure arriving from Spain, the magical horse, the poems and surprises. These foster imaginative experiences for children and adults, ritual expectations, anticipation. 10. Modern transformations. Media and commercialization. TV shows, children's programming, merchandising, music, books, these expand and sometimes standardize images of Sinterklaas and Piet. Legislation, public policy, schooling, changes in public sentiment often influence what is allowed or promoted in schools, municipalities. Some public bodies regulate how Piet appears, e.g. no full blackface, emphasis on soot. Globalization. As Santa Claus, Christmas, becomes more globally diffused, Sinterklaas competes and overlaps with Christmas culture. Some families combine traditions, others maintain separation. 11. Summary. What Sinterklaas tells us about culture and history. Sinterklaas is not static. It is the product of centuries of religious tradition, folklore, literary invention, social change, colonial legacies, and modern ethical awareness. Studying its history shows how traditions evolve, adapt, and carry meaning, but also how they can become contested. Conclusion. From the 4th century Bishop of Myra to today's debates about inclusion, Sinterklaas has walked a long road. It embodies generosity, wonder, moral teaching, but also reminders of colonialism and racial imagery. Whether celebrated with full traditional pomp, or in modified, more sensitive forms, it remains a powerful cultural phenomenon.